So without further ado, let's jump down the rabbit hole. Biggest question on most newbies' mind would be, what's a cryptocurrency? So cryptocurrencies are essentially just cash. I mean, they're a digital form of cash. Cash, as you know it, US dollar, pound, French franc, cash as you know it. Essentially, they are the same thing. You can use cryptocurrencies to buy and pay for services, to book a hotel room, book a flight. You can send it to friends and family. You can do essentially all you can do with normal cash with cryptocurrencies. It's just digital. That's the primary difference. Now, just like cash, when you have cash in the bank, you can transfer it across the world to your family and friends who are all over the place. Cryptocurrencies are similar, but not necessarily the same. Now, because cryptocurrencies are a digital form of cash, it means they can be sent across the world. Just like you find with your typical bank transfers, where you do a transfer from here to another country or to another person, whether from your mobile app or directly at the bank. But they are not necessarily the same thing. Not necessarily the same thing in the sense that traditional banks hold our money in trust for us. At any point in time, they can decide to allow us or not to allow us to transfer this money from point A to point B. Or they can decide to lock up our funds and not allow us access to our own money. So in principle, they hold our money for us and can decide that they will not allow us to transfer it or to spend it as we want to. Cryptocurrencies, on the other hand, are very different. There is no organization. You, your friends, and thousands of other people can access to your own bank by downloading free software that's readily available on the internet to run on your individual computers. Now, these computers are connected by the internet all over the world, so each computer is connected to another computer directly. There's no middleman, there's no organization, there's no one single individual that can tell you that you cannot move your funds or you cannot spend your funds. With cryptocurrencies, you don't need to go to a website to sign up or have an email address to be able to sign up. There are a wide variety of apps online that you can download and begin sending and receiving cryptocurrencies within minutes. Probably wondering why we're calling it cryptocurrencies. It's a combination of two words, cryptography and currencies. Cryptography uses math to secure your funds and make sure that nobody else has access to it apart from you. Okay, so it's starting to sound a little complicated almost immediately, but not to worry. Most of the applications and the software that you download will do all the heavy lifting for you. You're not going to need to understand exactly how it works or how money is moved from point A to point B. Most of the things that you will need to do, most of these applications will walk you through it. You'll learn how to use them to move money around and to manage your resources as you go along. This magical internet money isn't owned by anybody or controlled by anybody, but you already have apps for paying people, sending and receiving money. Why should you care? You should care because, one, it's permissionless. No one can stop you from using cryptocurrencies. Centralized payment services, on the other hand, can freeze your assets. They can freeze your finances. They can stop you from, moving resources across the globe. But this is permissionless, and nobody else can stop you from using cryptocurrencies. Two, it's censorship resistant. Because of the nature of the technology and the way it is designed, it is almost impossible for hackers to shut the system down, as opposed to banks where a group of hackers could shut an entire financial system down. It would be almost impossible to shut down the entire digital cryptocurrency network. Three, it's a cheap and fast payment method. Traditionally, when you make a transfer to someone across the world, it may take a few days or even up to a week, and sometimes it can cost an arm and a leg. With cryptocurrencies, it is instant. The person on the receiving end will receive that payment within minutes, and it's at a fraction of the cost that you would normally relate to international or payment transfers. So what about that Bitcoin thing that your friend has been talking about, or you seem to be seeing online everywhere these days? Not to worry, that's the original cryptocurrency, and to date it's the most popular, which is one of the reasons you're probably hearing it from everybody. Probably wondering where the name came from or where the currency came from. Interestingly enough, we don't know who invented Bitcoin. The person or group goes by the pseudonym Satoshi Nakamoto. Sound familiar? Satoshi could be a person, could be a group of people. Some believe that it's a group of programmers. Others believe that it is a government institution. So, said Satoshi Nakamoto, be a person or group or government agency, published a 9-page document in 2008 outlining exactly how the Bitcoin technology would work. A couple of months later, in 2009, the actual software was released. So that's not to say that Bitcoin is the only cryptocurrency. Bitcoin provided the foundation and the technology for many other cryptocurrencies. Some were based off of the same software, whilst others took a different approach. Okay, but what's the difference between these, different cryptocurrencies? There are thousands of cryptocurrencies out there. To make a list of them will take us weeks. The differences are so many. Some are faster, some are more secure, some have privacy as their utility, and so much more. Cryptocurrencies and the blockchain space, we have a term that we use called do your own research. There's a lot of information out there about cryptocurrencies, and they can be overwhelming. It is important that you take the time to learn as much as you can about any projects that you are speaking about or that you have interest in, so that you do not put resources or your money into projects that may collapse. In essence, all I'm saying is that before you put your money in any crypto investments, make sure to do the right due diligence. Let's now talk about the technology behind all of this and how all of this is possible through this technology called the blockchain. So what is the blockchain? Don't be confused by all the techno bubble and all the confusing terms that people throw out there trying to explain the blockchain to you. The blockchain is essentially just a simple database. I mean, really, you could create it with a standard spreadsheet software like Excel or Google Sheets, and that would be it. There are, however, some peculiarities with regards to these databases. The first being that these databases are append only. Append only meaning that you can only add information. You cannot go back up and delete one of the cells or edit any of the cells. Second is that each entry in the database, called a block, is cryptographically linked to the last entry before it. That is to say that it has a form of digital fingerprint of the previous block before it. Now, because each of the blocks are linked to each other, we essentially have what we call the blockchain. 3, and finally, the blockchain is immutable. This is to say that if you change a block, the block before it, which is cryptographically linked to that particular block, would have to change. And the block before that block would also have to change. And so on and so forth. I mean, you get the idea. This would essentially cause a domino effect where any change you make will be easily visible across the entire chain. This is why it is almost impossible to change any parts of the blockchain without the proper permissions. And you can't change any part of the blockchain. Is that it? It sounds a little too simplistic, right? Well, yes and no. The innovation here is not that, the blockchain is some oversimplified form of Google Sheets. The innovation here is that anybody on the network can download an identical copy of the blockchain onto their computer. That's what the software we mentioned previously does. Once the person installs the software, they are able to then download an entire copy of the blockchain onto their computer and become a part of the blockchain network. So, suppose you and 5 friends decide that you're going to be running this software. Let's call your 5 friends Ato, Kukua, Papa, Akosia, and Kwesi. And you now decide to send 5 coins to Ato. The coins are not immediately sent out to Ato, but the instruction is put on the network. Now imagine that Kukwa also decides to send another 5 coins to Kwesi and also puts out that instruction onto the network. Any of the participants on the network at that point in time can gather up these instructions, put them together, and create what we call a block. So if anybody can gather up these instructions and create the block, what stops people from cheating? I mean, what stops me from creating a block and adding an instruction that says that Papa sent me $5 million worth of coins? Or, what stops Ato from, buying Lamborghinis and houses from Kukwa with money that he doesn't necessarily have? Well, no, that's not how the system works. Because of some cryptography, some game theory, and some technical stuff we call a consensus algorithm, the system is set up in such a way that you cannot spend value that you do not actually have. Now, investing. So typically, investors look for long-term bets that can turn a profit if the fundamentals are right. Like, for instance, investors will look at the profits a company has seen over a long term to put in investment that they expect to turn a profit. While cryptocurrencies are a new form of asset, they can also be viewed through similar lens. Investors will look at the utility, the quality, the people behind a cryptocurrency project and decide whether it has value to invest in for the long term. Many Bitcoin investors follow the HODL philosophy. That is to say that they believe in the project of Bitcoin so deeply that they don't intend to sell for a long time. This is not with only Bitcoin. They may have other select currencies that they hold such strong beliefs for, but don't take their word for it. Remember, do your own research at every point in time before you invest your money in any of these currencies. Trading generally implies a short-term way of generating or turning a profit with your investments. Traders may jump in and out of positions all the time. But how do they know when the right time is to jump in or to jump out? One of the most common ways that makes sense for people investing in cryptocurrency is what we call technical analysis. Technical analysis looks at the history, charts, and other types of market data to find the best bets that have a good chance of turning a profit. You must be dying to get started trading already. That's not to worry. But for all things that, have good value, you can expect to have to spend some time pursuing knowledge and figuring out how to do it properly. Not to worry. In the description to this video, I will be adding some helpful links and resources for you to be able to continue your learning journey with regards to trading cryptocurrencies. Additionally, I will have other videos where I go into a lot more detail about technical analysis, reading historical charts, and picking the right market data to look at with regards to your trading. So far, we've talked about investing and trading. These methods generally require you to have a bit of time on your hands to be able to go into the nitty-gritty of it. But if you're a busy person like a lot of other people are and not necessarily ready to jump both feet into crypto, there are other options for you. Passive income. The good news is the world of cryptocurrencies has many opportunities to earn passive income. You would probably wonder, then why isn't everybody doing it? It's probably because they don't know, but now you know. One of the ways to earn passive income is by lending your cryptocurrency to other people, and in return, they pay you interest for it. Essentially, you make more crypto with your crypto. I've heard about Bitcoin mining. This involves a lot of very loud expensive machinery, producing a lot of heat, using up a lot of electricity to secure the network. But this is not the only way to secure the network. There's another process called staking. What is staking? In simple terms, staking means getting rewards for locking up coins. Now, there are particular coins that if you are invested in and you hold onto that cryptocurrency, you earn rewards for holding onto that cryptocurrency by being given more of that crypto. Privacy and security. Cryptocurrency is technology, and it is important that if we love cryptocurrency and we love the blockchain, we need to also have privacy and security at the top of our minds at all times. The digital age brought with it a lot of innovation. I mean, today your fridge can text you when you forget to close the door. You can order a taxi right on your mobile device. And it looks like very soon we'll be receiving mail by drones. There's a lot of things happening in the technology space, but it is important that you know how to protect yourself and how to protect your data, which we all unknowingly produce a lot of. And especially in this space, it is important that you keep your data very private. I will discuss how to secure yourself and make sure that your information is safe in other videos that I'll share.